What's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Italian Stallion, ready for another episode of Rebels with a Cause. You know what time it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's the time of Rebels with a Cause, 9 o'clock Tuesday night, that new time, that solid time slot that we now have. Just remember, when the cause don't stop, when the clock hits zero. Great show on Friday. So much love that all of us want to express to you, especially my co-hosts when I bring them on respectively. But I want to give a shout out to the hospitality of Coreyton and Gibbs High School for letting us shoot there and have the show. It was very wonderful. So shout out to them. Shout out to the football team and all the parents and fans that showed up. It was like a home atmosphere at West as opposed to at Gibbs, and we'll talk about it some more. But just want to give a shout out to everybody where they're watching from, whether they're watching live or recorded. Hit that like and subscribe button because it deals with the algorithms there of YouTube and really gets us out there and really gets that message of what the Rebels with a Cause is all about. Want to give a shout out to a couple people, and of course I'm going to have my co-host give some shouts out as well. First and foremost, want to give a shout out to my boy Alex Thatcher over there at the Knoxville Coffee Company, right there in Sutherland Avenue, in the heart of Marble City. That brew is so good, no matter what time of day it is. So go pay him a visit over there and get you some of that Knoxville Coffee Company, made with a lot of love by the Thatchers and Company over there. And also a shout out to my gal, Miss Kim Castle over at King's Chamber. Always takes care of your boy, the Italian Stallion, and she'll take care of you too. If you give her a call, pay her a visit at that address, she'll make sure that you feel like a true king in that chamber hall. But without further ado, and I always have to start this off, that the views and opinions of this program are not affiliated with those of any other organization or company or that of West High School. This is solely the views and opinions of the Rebel with a Cause crew. But without further ado, let's bring him on. First and foremost, you know him. Give him that respect and that shout out. Even if you're watching this recorded, no matter where you're from, whether you're there in the heart of Marble City off of Sutherland or there in Sequoia Hills, Mechanicsville, all the way over to West Hills, down to Rocky Hill. He is the Mr. 2003 West. He is the voice of the Rebels for 18 plus years, Lady Rebels basketball as well. And I know that he's got a lot of exciting things to talk about today, especially getting a little peek at that tryout. And I can't wait to hear what he has to bring because you know when you hand him a mic, he's going to make it real. So let's bring him on, the one and only two-pair Tate, Brian Tate. What's going on?
How the hell are you, man? What's going
Oh
on?
my God, man. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is, but just a little bit of football and then that little tease you sent me about basketball tryouts. I had a little pep in my step, man. I hate to say it, and it just makes me so excited for next year. And let me tell you, I know it's a few months away for both of those sports individually, but it'll be here before you know it, man. But I feel good. How about you, man? What's
I
going on with you?
feel good, man. Just talking with Paul Romero yesterday. We had an in-depth conversation about the podcast. He's like, whenever you guys can have me on, I'm a wealth of information and knowledge, and just the stuff that he's doing. For as we're gonna be having new spring and fall sports coming up.
Ooh, okay.
It will be like women's flag football.
Wow. So you're telling me that the powder puff game that kind of traditionally happens in homecoming could be an official sport and league in this area.
Yeah.
That's
There's
awesome.
more on the table, but
Yeah.
I want to say this athletic department has just really done a phenomenal job of taking care of business this spring. I mean, I as I've never felt so good like to just be talking about spring sports and what's going to be up for fall because um, Coach Caporo, Coach Brown, they have laid the foundation to really say, look, you know, what football's doing, that can be done in our basketball program. And Coach Caporo put a lot out there. Um, I love Paul Romero. Like Paul Romero, he wants to get with us about doing the 25th anniversary of the 2000 team,
Perfect.
the sub-state team, and then I want to say Tukey's team that went to state. I think they're going to be like 14, 13. So we'll get a jump start on that because I want to do the sub-state. I think would be 15 years. Um, it,
Yeah, 14
that,
years, I
that,
think maybe. Yeah,
so, and also Rebels with a Cause. We will be trying to do the alumni games next year.
that's
We
awesome.
will try to do three alumni games. We're trying to do a softball game for like baseball and softball players, those alumni. I
Hmm.
for those guys. Um, Football will be flag. So any former players, we'll have a flag for the girls, flag for the guy. Like we'll do a duel. You know what I'm saying?
That's
So
awesome.
it'll be a co-ed. It'll be a co-ed alumni game for that. Then basketball. I'm thinking if we can't get boys and girls, it's gonna probably be a co-ed.
Hmm.
So that's just something that I want to put in the ear of the alumni because I want to shout out Shauna McKinney, Big O. I saw a lot of people on there. Diedrich Elder, Sean Broyles, Shot Broyles. All these people have been commenting, posting. I definitely want to thank Kara Lee and her family, the Martin family. They have been phenomenal with the basketball team. Also, got to give a big shout out to the Clark family, the Birch family, all these people that have been reaching out to me. You know, we really got a great fan. We are one West.
We are.
We are really one West. Like that turnout uh, Friday night, it felt like we was at a home game.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I don't even care that there were other sports going on. I mean, let's be real. There was nobody there for football for them, and I almost felt bad for them. Like they had at least what 50 guys dressed out on that sideline, maybe,
Yeah,
and you mean to tell me that all their parents couldn't come to watch them play or whatever? But look
yeah.
at the west sideline, man. I mean, you had former alum, you had former players that were like on these past couple of years teams in town. We saw Bradley Dickey there. Obviously, Ryan Scott was there. I mean, but it's just like it don't end after you about to graduate or you're in it for life, man. We are one West.
I didn't realize like how much this show has brought back in a lot of the alumni. Like it's really brought back in a lot of the alumni um to I had an out of body experience yesterday, Jamie.
Hmm. Talk about it, man. I want to hear about it.
Mike Nelson, Mike Nelson,
I remember that. Yeah. Okay.
sophomore, who Agent Zero, right? We remember Mike Nelson.
Hmm.
You know, he missed the entire junior season. Did not play. He left out of town, missed the missed the practice. Coach wasn't cool with it. That man sat out, watched every single game, comes back. The man's got a hurt ankle, but I promise you, he will be the difference maker. And you will not believe who his uncle and his mother is.
Who?
His mother is Ashley Mack, the phenomenal R&B singer.
Oh
His
wow.
dad, I mean his uncle, you will not believe who his uncle is. Played it West, a left-hand shooter. The reason, if there was a buzzer beater against Bearden, who hit it?
Probably this guy right here.
AB.
Are you serious? So Anthony
His
Bennett is
AB
his uncle.
uncle.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Wow.
when I say it's like looking, at miniature AB. Now, AB is probably the fastest guy I've ever seen dribble.
God, he was a
Like
great ball
that's
handler. Yeah.
that speed. But when you like Mike Nelson, I don't know. I felt like he sees the game 5 plays ahead. And I feel like he may be that missing piece. Now, things that caught me off guard yesterday were, um, man, I felt like my bad. We were supposed to talk football. My
It's
bad.
okay. It's
But
okay.
the thing that caught me off guard, there was no Chris Cowan yesterday.
Ooh,
So I don't know that's like a big question mark for me.
gotcha.
Because, like I feel like you gotta have him in that rotation.
Yeah.
Garrett Birch, he will be cleared to play in 2 to 3 weeks. We talked extensively yesterday, and I think he's primed. I think he's primed to shoot like 46%.
Wow. Wow.
Like Joe Dupree looked. Joe Dupree added a lot to his game. I feel like Reese is seeing the game a little bit smoother. Jalen turned it up a little bit. Malik Wilson jumped off the charts for me, but another guy who I'm ready to see make that sophomore jump, Kalu Fofana is going to get time.
Hmm.
Like the way he plays defense, his attention to detail, he's going to get time. Devin Martin just got offered from Johnson today.
Oh, good for him. Okay.
Has 2 offers on the board right now. By 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 the time of November, Devin Martin should have about 10 offers. To,
Wow.
I really feel like it's going to pick up.
Yep. He just
Kevin
needs to be patient. He just needs to be patient. Yep.
Kevin Kevin's ball handling got better, and his deep shot is looking more on point. Like he's becoming that third level scorer. His handle was real tight yesterday. Um, let's see. Let's keep going down the line. Devin looked like the best player on the court. He's the best player on the court. He's got the most offers.
Hmm.
He just looked like the best player on the court. A guy to look out for that's going to make a jump is David Sanders, and I'm going to say Sean Smith. Sean Smith was very, very surprising. Like Sean Smith is going to be. I feel like Sean Smith is going to see a lot of tick this year coming off that bench.
Now these guys were freshmen, right? With Fofana, right? Like they were freshmen going to be sophomores. So
Yeah.
this freshman class, from the sound of it, is just as talented going to be bringing up. Because sometimes I feel you have one class that's better than another, but you have a sophomore, junior, and senior class that looks like they can build on each other and really have a lot of depth.
What one thing that jumped out at me is like Robert Schuler is becoming a better shooter off the dribble, but he struggles with when he gets to the paint. He doesn't have enough elevation,
Mm,
and lift. But when dude is spot up, it's good as gold. Like him, Dupree, and Burt, like the law firm of three,
hmm.
that can be a real thing.
Hmm.
And Coach Caporo, he held no punches yesterday. Eggleston held no punches. It was a very like, look, you guys are grown men. Either we get it done because you guys are my. This is our last go at this.
Hmm.
He said, you know, you can complain, you can win, or you can be a man and accept responsibility.
Hmm.
And I felt like that was one of the most powerful statements you can say to a young man. Like they will not get state unless guys like us tell them, look, this is it. Like we really have to push them to excel in the classroom, take care of the academic stuff to get offers. But we got to stay hard pressed on you athletically to if you're wanting to achieve this, then we've got to be better at motivating you to get to that point. We want to get you to a championship, to win a championship, to feel what the football team feel. Like the football team walks in with a certain swagger.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
certain swagger. Like Friday night, I felt another out of body experience of they're doing a podcast on a high school team. This went back to back. Like we're covering their spring game.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're giving the in-depth analysis for my high school. Like that's how big this has gotten now.
Mm-hmm. And they're fun to watch. I mean, and you said it best. There is a swagger. That swagger that you saw from the U in the 80s or Florida State in the 90s. You saw it. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Here's the thing. I'm not saying be cocky. Respect the other opponent, but don't respect them enough that you are afraid of them, that you put your pads on just like they do, but you know what is going on because you're a part of a culture. You're a part of a program. This is not just a team. This is a culture. This is a program and so forth. And, it's kind of like us. And I want to bring him on camera too because he's been waiting patiently listening, and I know he's ready to tear the cage off and so forth because we've really made this not just a dynamic duo but a triple threat. And
I love the
basically,
way you bring them on though, because it's kind of, bro. We've elevated our show to where it we feel like the Pat McAfee show.
oh yeah, and Sandy's best friend like watches our show from Fort Lauderdale, and she's like, I just watch them because like they bring so much energy, and it's like it's interesting, and we're talking about a high school team, and this is a lady that lives in Fort Lauderdale or what have you, bringing this up or something, but
Yeah,
I got to bring him on
well,
because I love his passion, and I'm so glad that he was like our number one fan. He watched all the shows, and I was like, man, we're gonna bring him on and so forth. He's a former Rebel. You guys have been friends longer than me and him have, and so forth. You all have known each other for a while, and I'm just so glad he's at West. So yeah,
it's really wild that what I'm saying, Shane. I've known Shane for like a very big part of my life. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
he's a tremendous dude. Like I grew up playing basketball, football. Like I've you know what I'm saying? I've been in the same locker room with him.
hmm
I'm saying, and it's just wild to see that like we're of age where we're doing a podcast show about
exactly. So
about our
about Oro High School. I mean, for sure. So,
wow.
but let's bring him on. He. Let me tell you something. If there was a Father of the Year award, and Father's Day is coming up, I know we just celebrated our mothers. Shout out to our moms wherever they are. I know my mom watches sometimes, but anyway, happy Mother's Day to all those that watch, and mothers of players and former players as well, whether they're living or have passed on and so forth. So happy Mother's Day to them. But Father's Day is coming up, and if there was a Father of the Year award, I'd give it to this guy. He's also a beast in the weight room, knows his stuff, and that's why he's our stat guy. He's our Shane O'Mac, and as far as I'm concerned, he could probably body slam old Shane O'Mac McMahon off the Titantron in wrestling. But without further ado, let's give him a warm Rebels with a Cause welcome, the one, the only Shane O'Mac.
What's up, fellas? What's up? How we doing tonight? Thanks for the great words. Appreciate it.
Always, man, always. So, obviously, two pairs got more to talk about with the basketball, but I wanted to give you the floor first, brother. How things been? I mean, how crazy was Friday night, man? How fun was
Yeah,
that?
that's still so surreal. Just we were out there for a spring game. We had 40 views.
Over 40 views. Yep.
It, I would never have thought at almost 40. We got about 3 more weeks that I'd be doing a podcast on my former team.
Yeah.
But here we are.
It's wild, dude.
And we couldn't have asked for better weather. And then there's the northern lights going on. I was wondering why it was green and red in the sky. And I was like, man, like this sunset's lasting long. And then my wife tells me, oh, yeah, the Aurora Borealis or whatever it's called is going on, the northern lights or whatever. So, yeah.
We were focused on football. We weren't paying attention to the lights.
Hey, we were watching Wes light up the scoreboard. Sorry, I just had to say it. So there we go.
Dude, that was some there was some plays, man. And like, man, that the hit that stands out is the kid that made the tackle on the guy that made the cutback.
Yarik
Oh,
Cook. Yarik Cook is his name, and
he
Yeah,
he and me are following each
was
other on
straight
Twitter.
AI
hey,
on Tron Loop.
him, the cooker.
Did
The
he look
Cook.
down? Did he look down like AI did? Did he look down?
He did. Oh, he did.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you're going to do it, you got to do it right.
And he had it on his huddle. He already
But
had
hey,
it on his huddle on Twitter.
we
By
were,
the
we
way.
were talking about practice.
Twitter,
We're talking about practice.
dub. You gotta give him a dub for it. He put it on the
Oh,
Twitter.
he's getting a W for that
He-
one, man. So
that-
anybody
that
that laid people
part.
out gets that. So yeah, but wow. Mm. Wow. Yeah. I mean, let me tell you something. There were some guys that really, from that sophomore class, that are going to be that junior class, that backbone. I mean, they were eighth grade champions themselves, just like these rising seniors. And everybody was talking about what's going to happen when their time to shine is. And that's now. And, Two Pair, I loved that interview that you did with Jack Keith after the game and so forth. Talk about what he said again for those that missed Friday's after live scrimmage post game report.
Yeah, I mean, he said, he's feeling good, he's playing good. He's like, if everybody buys, this can happen. Because I was just asking him about what it's got to take for you to get 3 of these things. And he said to me, everybody's got to buy in, offense and defense. Everybody's got to buy in. He's like, it can happen. It's gonna happen, and everybody's just really got to buy in. Like that's what I feel like we're getting that from football and basketball, of buying in, investing. You're putting your time and your dedication on the line to become champions, and that's what it's all about. And for him to grant that time, you know what I'm saying? And he's also a phenomenal basketball player, like a very great backup guard who can run things for your team. He's just a leader, man. He talked really passionate about what's gonna happen and the tone that they want to set.
And he changed his number to 0. You know you're a badass when you wear number 0. I'm sorry. So
Agent
yeah.
Zero. Agent Zero.
Yeah, Agent Zero. So I'm telling you. So guys, I had time to reflect, and of course, I watched the show, and Sandy asked me, "Do your co-hosts go back and rewatch the shows?" And I go, "Yeah, you have to. I mean, you want to know what you said, and just to make sure you got everything right. And I always want to be accurate when we discuss things. And obviously, I apologized multiple times, as we all did, that we didn't have accurate names, but we had the numbers that were on the field, and that'll get worked out in August, like Shane said. But the truth of the matter is, I just wanted to give some shout outs to guys that really stood out, especially being in roles that they weren't in. And I know it was just a scrimmage, but you weren't practicing against yourselves. You were practicing against a playoff team. You were practicing against a team that is wanting to contend in their region at the 4A level, that has a very tough schedule themselves and so forth. And I think you handled business very well out there. But now it's like, you got to get ready for yourselves and what's next. And it's about to get real when you play Bearden come August 19th, when that happens. So,
Yeah, it's definitely gonna get real once they play Bearden, and then just that the schedule for me, man, is just that Central Maryville. That is that's the one I'm like marked on the calendar. When I looked at it, just it, what type of speed are we gonna be facing from both of those teams? Like
yep.
what type of speed are we looking at from? Because the way those line up is sort of I call it kind of like the trap game. Just the way how it lines up, because it's September 13th, September 20th. That's 7 days. Like that grind is, you're right back out there.
The only thing that I like about both those games, they're at home. That's the only thing. If they'd be on the road, I'd be a little concerned about that, especially. But I will give you this. What's Farragut going to be like when we play them at Farragut? Because that's Farragut's first home game. And they're the week before we play Maryville. And so, Farragut has now lost to West, if I'm not mistaken, 6 straight years. So, or 5 straight years, excuse me, 5 straight years. So they're wanting to make sure that another class of athletes doesn't go without beating West. I mean, because that would be three three classes that have gone through Farragut that have not won against West and so forth, which is amazing because realistically, up until West finally got the Farragut monkey off their back, and they didn't play every year, but I didn't know if you guys knew this, but West had only won one time against Farragut since 1972 until they got that monkey off their back in 2012. I want you to let that sink in. Yes. But we
Well,
didn't play every year. We scrimmaged them a lot, and
Oh,
so
yeah,
forth. But realistically, West had I looked it up. I mean, you can look it up at that stat that I because I looked at past schedules. When we played Farragut, I think we beat them like in 1972, but after that, West didn't do it again until 2012. I mean, we'd always fall short when we played them and so forth. So, yeah.
mm,
Yeah.
I did not know that. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a hell of a
Yeah,
stat.
yeah, no, and realistically, Bearden really owned the rivalry and have a lead because of winning those games in the 70s and 80s or whatever. But realistically, since 2000, since we finally got that monkey off our back in 2001, I know they forfeited the 99 game, but if you're talking about beating them on the field since 2001, West has dominated the series against Bearden. And there was a couple years we didn't play, but
what year was it where everybody stormed the field when we won
that
at?
was that was the 2001.
Was
That
that
was that was
2000?
my senior year, your junior year. That was my senior year. And what was so special is we had not beaten them since 1991.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
Mm.
granted, yes, you won because they had an ineligible player play 3 plays of special teams that gave us the 99 win. They
yeah.
flipped the score, but but on the field they won 16-14, but they had Bill Butler for 3 games and 3 plays on kickoff, and because they played him and he was ineligible, Bearden had to forfeit that, and that became a win in West's column.
And then West play.
And then the next year, there was the Chris Ernst game, the 50th anniversary, where they stomped on our field and so forth and beat us 30-11. And then the following year, we got revenge against them, beating them 14-0, and then we stomped on their field. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. So.
Man, a lifetime ago.
It was. Oh my God, it feels like forever ago. So yeah, I don't have pains in my hips or backs, guys. So to be honest with you, so yeah, I mean, shoot.
Wow, ago.
But
I feel shoulder pain from Maryville, but that's another story.
yeah, but Two Pair, you bring up an interesting point, though. I mean, think about that schedule. I mean, you've got Bearden, deep playoff team. Clinton was one bad quarter away from really playing West instead of I forget who we beat in the 4th round in the semifinals before we played Page. Walker Valley. They were one bad quarter away against Walker Valley from really playing West in that semifinal
Yeah,
game.
that was a 24-20 game.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, so Clinton wasn't. Well, they have to find a quarterback, but they got athletes over there. Then you've got Farragut, who really should have made the playoffs, and obviously there's not going to be a drop off from Eddie to Jeff now that Jeff is now the new head coach. Then you've got Maryville. I mean, Maryville, you don't have to say anything else. Central now with Kevin.
Now, Farragut making the playoffs. That was they were bottom run. They were 4-6 last year, and 2-3 at the region.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Like, do you know that Cleveland game? I don't know what happened, if it was they had a West hangover, because they gave us everything they wanted and then some. I mean, we only won that game 38-31.
Well,
And
I remember being in the press box last year, and we were all like, "Cleveland's beating Farragut."
Yeah. I mean, so I think there was like a West hangover because they had put so much into winning that West game and they didn't do it.
Or they
And
were looking forward to the Bearden game because that was a tough one.
And that was probably in it too, and so forth.
Because
So
Cleveland's always been one of those teams like you just kind of overlook and then they'll sneak up on you because they beat Maryville too.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like Farragut wasn't a bad team last year. I just think that they had some bad luck. I mean, realistically, the only game that they got blown out was the Oak Ridge game. You know, like Oak Ridge beat them. I hadn't seen Oak Ridge beat Farragut like that in a while.
Yeah, 35-3.
Yeah, no, they beat them really good in that game.
And
But
Jeff
what I'm
County
saying,
took it from too.
yeah, in Jeff County, yeah. So realistically, I mean, Farragut was one Cleveland bad game from being at least that fourth seed in the playoffs. So they could have been a playoff team. Then you've got Maryville, who is Maryville, you know, and that Maryville team found a way to beat Alcoa, yet they lost to West, they lost to Bradley Central, they
They
lost
also
to
beat
Bearden, they lost to Farragut, but they still got to what, the second round of the playoffs last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they played Science Hill, then Bradley Central.
Yeah, and then lost. So Bradley Central beat them twice last year, pretty much.
Bradley Central was they were world beaters last year.
They were.
Yeah.
Boo Carter. Yeah.
Boo Carter and I can't remember the other guy. They're both UT commit. They're both UT players.
How phenomenal is Boo Carter gonna be next?
Oh yeah. No, I can't wait to see him. Honestly.
So
So
watching him play twice last year, kid's a beast.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. He's different level speed. Yeah, like a cheat code on a video game. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. And then after Maryville, you've got Central, who was also a playoff team, but now they return some players, and they've got Kevin Lane, who, you know, a great defensive coordinator, a great coach, and you know is come back home to Central. And they may not show it so far like this first year, but I know that they're going to be on the up and up. And just give him a couple years to really instill what he knows is culture and a program to do it the way that when Coach Helton was there years ago. And so
when Central won, they won convincingly. When they lost,
they lost. Yeah. So yeah, for sure. And then after Central, you've got Heritage, and Heritage is going to be you know, kind of rebuilding and so forth. They bring back some pieces, but that's the homecoming game. And then you've got Alcoa at Alcoa. I mean, that's your first 7 games right there. Your first 7 games. I mean, that's just incredible, honestly. And then you finish out the year with Anderson County, who won a state championship a couple years ago in 4A. Halls has improved as a region opponent. And then you end the year on the road at Powell. So, I mean, I'm just saying that is going to be pretty hardcore of a schedule. And what I'm hoping is that West just keeps better, getting better week by week, two pair. That's the thing that I want more than anything, because if you, with that type of schedule, I know you already see Powell and you'll probably see him again in the third round of the playoffs. But the fact is, you go through that schedule, whether you go undefeated or you go 5-5, you are prepared to possibly go on a deep playoff run, because there's not going to be much tougher than some of those teams I named.
Right. It will not be like this schedule just looks horrendous.
Yeah. Yeah. I looked at the same schedule last year, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the same schedule last year and felt that it was almost, I don't know, I hate to say it, like I looked at it like, you know, if West can go 7-3 and make a deep run in the playoffs, I would be very satisfied with that. And then they find ways to win and go 9-1 and then really hit their stride come the playoffs. I mean, you know, and what I'm wanting to see from this team is do what you got to do. And if you keep getting better and you can have Lady Luck on your side, stay injury free, I mean, the sky's the limit to go to win it all again, honestly.
Right. It is, man. It really is. It's like the sky is the limit, guys. If they really crack down and do what Jack Keefe says as a leader, like this team can do it.
Shane, what do you think? You know, now that spring is over, and I mean, Two Pair's got a great point. You can do it if you buy in, but now this is kind of that time of year where, you know, you're done with school, but now you have time to really devote it in the weight room and conditioning. I mean, what's your message to these guys being a former player and alum, honestly?
My message would be get in that weight room every day, get that extra work in, no matter what it is, and then buy in. You got to buy in. The target's on our back right now, back to back. You know, every person, every team in your schedule is coming for you. They once said they knocked off the defending state champs. So you've got the target. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to work? How much you willing to sacrifice to get number 3? I'm hoping we have guys who are ready to compete, and we don't have guys just joining the team. Like, oh, hey, I'm on the state team. Like, put in the work, put in the effort, and make yourself noticeable and contribute to the team and everything you can do.
I agree. I agree. No, I agree 100%. You know, two pair. One thing that we all talked about not only on the show after the game live, but I've had some time to think about it. But how important and how good was that offensive line? Pass blocking, run blocking. I mean, I just can't talk about it enough of how well they did. And I don't care who you were playing. They were making holes that I think the three of us, with all due respect, could run through. And when you have a home run hitter like a Messiah Wren or an Antarius McAllister, good night, home run, honestly.
Man, the running backs that they have in that, I mean, they went deep into that. They went deep into their roster Friday night, and the way they were cutting on the dime, cut back in, running, running with the blockers, like, and then showing you that second burst of speed to get up to the second level. That's where I think West is going to be potent at, and it's going to give those rollouts and those waggle plays that West ran. It's going to give them an extra step on the defenses that we're going to see, because we're going to see a lot of blitzing, but you ain't going to be blitzing too much of that. Like that offensive line moved mountains. They imposed their will.
They did. They did. I mean, the other thing too is, and Shane, you noticed this as well. Like you did go deep in the stable, like Two Pair was saying, but realistically, each back, you had 3 bruiser backs in Tavion Ray, and unfortunately, I don't know number 39 or number 48, who was like a big old fullback running
Yeah.
with the ball, and he was physical. He liked the contact, but
That
here's
was,
the
like, that
thing.
was like watching Mike Alstott back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, they had him on both sides of the ball, and he was showing what he could do. I was impressed with number 48. But you have a bruiser like that, and then you had the speed and the vision from, like we talked about Messiah Wren, number 22.
Oh, his vision was incredible, but it's like he knew exactly where the line was going to be, even further downfield. Once you got to that second and third level, he knew where the hole was going to be. He found it and made 15, 20-yard gains. Then the 3 long runs they had down the field. As a former running back, that was impressive.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And then even Antarius McAllister, who's really known as the starting safety, him getting in there as the third guy after Tavion and Messiah, he had a few long runs. And then, unfortunately, I didn't get this guy's name, but whoever number 35 was, he had a couple nice runs as a scat back and so forth, and his vision was also there, knowing where to go and getting nice gains.
No, I think what we'll see this year is we'll probably see about 3 backs out of there. You'll have your Thunder Lightning like you've talked about, but it'll be probably about 3 backs that really will get the load of the carries. And I brought this up a few weeks ago with how 4 quarterbacks deep right now.
Yeah,
they showed that it's going to be run dominant.
Yeah.
And the way they're playing, I dare a defensive line stop them, because they were moving that line around like they were nothing. It was like a bunch of DBs and safeties going against the O line, just getting mauled all day.
And Two Pair, like you said, the wide receivers were getting separation themselves. So if you set up the run, play action is going to be there for whoever is the guy at the starting quarterback spot. So
yeah, that's why I was like, that's why I really like what I saw. Even on the last touchdown, the kid number 13 who
Yeah.
scored on that bomb. Like, if this guy's getting open, like, how good is their secondary and how good are our wide receivers? If we're getting that open, like, there was some blown coverages. There was a bunch of blown coverages Friday night. So
Yeah, and to start the game, you had number 1, which is obviously Burdine. Number 5 was Drada, and unfortunately, I don't know who number 9 is this year and so forth, but that was your starting wide receivers with those 3. And then myself and Shane noticed that number 8 came in, number 17 was out there, also number 80 was out there, and then you also had 83 and number 13, like you mentioned, as well as number 3 was out there as well at receiver. So by my count, I know that not all of them will get to play. Maybe they will. I don't know. But right now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys that looked like they knew what they were doing, whether they were catching the ball, blocking downfield, creating separation, just doing what they needed to do. And that's a tribute to the wide receivers coach for getting them ready. And I saw a huge improvement from where you only had maybe 3 to 4 guys last year, that you've got a deep unit with that wide receiver core now.
I say they go probably about 5 deep throughout the receiver core. That's what I look at.
Barring injury or anything like that, I guess. So, yeah.
Who's going to stand out the most is what it's going to come down to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody's going to work their way into some more playing time, that's for sure. Yeah. I still want to see some work from the secondary, though.
Yeah, and I can't forget, because he kind of gets lost in the shuffle sometimes. But Dominic Davis, number 2, the tight end, he's a weapon. He can block, he can catch the ball, and honestly, he's a weapon. And his backup, whoever number 89 was, did very well also in that tight end spot, backing him up when he was out there getting reps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like what I see, man. I like the nastiness from the defense. The defense has a nice nastiness to it. I will say the offense, running the ball, we will not have a problem. Like, they're gonna be able to run the ball with ease. Like, I feel like they won't. I feel like they will not struggle running the football.
There'll be no struggle at all.
Yeah, like, they should not struggle running the football. Just with the offensive line, I felt like the offensive line and defensive line were going to be like challenges right now, but it's like they're kind of ahead of schedule.
They are. And you know what? Something else that I failed to mention last Friday, but they held on to the ball and didn't allow it to get stripped, no matter who was running the ball. They had it in the right arm. That's a tribute to the running backs coach. Like, I just was just like, that's impressive, because last year there was some fumble problems early in the season, as well as the scrimmages, and finally the West running backs did get it together. But this year they are ahead of schedule in that regard, and that's something that I was very happy to see.
Right. Yeah, I was happy to see this.
I think the only turnover I saw was when the one of the backup quarterbacks lost it on that scramble.
Yeah.
I don't remember which one it was, but yeah, he had some hand problems with the ball that Friday night. So
yeah, there was that one play that I absolutely laughed at, that I guess the quarterback, whoever was behind center, I guess hiked the ball but didn't have his head set.
yeah.
The ball gets snapped, hits his shoulder pad, goes perfectly into Antarius McAllister's hands, and he still makes like a 35-yard gain with it. I mean, it was just like, hey, when you're lucky, you're lucky. You'll take it, right?
It was scripted. It was scripted.
Yeah. We talked about the offensive side of the ball at length, and the defense, had their struggles. But I was talking to Michael Lynn, the great Michael Lynn, about it, and Michael said it best. He said, defense without really having a game plan, and you really didn't know what they were going to throw at you, because you'll have film on opponents as you get and you game plan, and you'll have your guys in there. So he's not worried about the defense, despite what I told him about it and everything like that. But I will say The defensive line, I thought was going to be a question mark coming in, and I just gave props to Morgan Shavers and said, "Man, there's no doubt you can coach and you played with us, but your defensive lines don't rebuild, they reload."
Yep.
And they are doing that.
He said we got to talk to his agent. We can't get him on the show.
I know. I mean, hey, don't let that guy fool you. He's like TJ. He's quiet. You know what I mean? He's like a quiet guy, but he's got a very interesting story himself. So don't let that demeanor of his fool you. He's
He
just a
said we
quiet
got to talk to
stalker.
his agent. Get him on the show. I was like, hey man, we
Yeah.
got to go to the show. He said, I got to talk to the agent.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. A former player slash coach for a rival team reached out to me and he said to me, "When are you going to have me on? When are you going to have me on?" And I said, "When do you want to come on?" And we worked it out that it's going to be in the summer. I am talking about the great Mark Giles, who is the running backs coach at Farragut High School and was on the '94 first semifinal team with Turbo Pete and all them. So, but realistically, we will have Coach Giles on, and I'm sure he's going to, give us some great stories. And also, he definitely has agreed to be on that panel to decide which was the best West team. And I almost want to do like a tournament style bracket with lining them up of who would win in that scenario if they played each other. Rank them 1 through 8, and then go. You know what I mean? Type of a thing. So yeah, but be interesting. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. I would say an underrated West High team would be the Larry Williford, Justin Jackson, Abdul Henderson.
You talk about the 014.
03 would be them. So yeah, they're the ones that went down to Cleveland and upset one seed Cleveland and
I'm thinking 03, I'm thinking
Marbo.
0304. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. 004, man, I've had numerous conversations with Morgan Shavers about that 04 team because that was his senior year. That was Hootie Henderson's senior year, Nate Martin. I also think that was officially let me see who was. Oh yeah, that was also DeBrian Venardo was the quarterback, and he was a
Quarterback.
beast, DeBrian Venardo.
Yeah.
And realistically, I just feel that like that team in '04 really missed an opportunity there to at least make it to the second or third round of the playoffs because they were really good that
My
'04.
grandfather was sending me clippings of the 03 and the 04 team while I was in boot camp and in Iraq.
Yeah. And they were headlining.
Yeah.
They beat Bearden 34-0 one of those years. So yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, like there are so many teams we can bring up. I mean, a team that I absolutely loved was the '07 team with Jake Ryan at quarterback, Jack Klotzball at running back, and Jack Wagner, the Fulton transfer, was the wide receiver. They had Cortez Drew on that team. I mean, there were some good players. And the sad thing is the offensive line was a weakness of theirs at the beginning of that year, but towards the end of the year really gelled. And I almost wonder what now?
Is that TJ Wilson?
TJ was actually '06, and they were a good team as well. TJ Wilson was the year before. But this '07 team went toe-to-toe with Maryville and lost 17-9 in that second round. And Maryville, of course, went on to win a state championship. But realistically, West played them the toughest of those 5 playoff games, honestly. And it was at Maryville. It was in the black hole. So, yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So, but that '07 team definitely is up there, but we'll definitely rank the semifinal teams, obviously the state runner up and the state champions. And we'll also throw in some teams like the '03. I'd like to throw out the '99 team with Michael Lynn and all them and so forth to see how they would do. They may not have had it offensively, but they definitely brought it defensively, and so forth. So that's the thing that up until recently, it seemed like West had one or the other, but now that they have both an offense and a defense and a strong special teams, it seems that that's why you're seeing the success. And the coaching staff has stayed together and made them phenomenal. And like you mentioned, Two-Pair, the community. I mean, there's something to be said about a community behind your school, honestly. And we're not a small town. We're not. I mean, we are a sector in a big city with what, Shane, 13 and 14 other public and private schools?
I want to say it's 15.
15. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, if you like, it would never happen. But if you could imagine, like, if there was like a Knoxville High School or something like that,
If
you
you
know,
went back to the old days where it was North High, South High,
yeah,
East and West.
the directional schools, yeah, exactly. And that was back then when there was two separate entities. You had the city and the county.
Yep.
Now it's all under the county. But I'm just saying that for West to, shell out their 70 something players with 40 something freshmen signed up to come on down as well and keep the pipeline going, I mean, this is pretty impressive stuff in a little sector, like you said, from the Strip all the way down to Food City in Bearden Hill on Kingston Pike there and
Yeah,
so forth. So it's pretty impressive,
it is pretty
honestly.
impressive, man. When you think about it, man, like it's really real deal impressive. Like just school and the way the coaches bring the alumni back. Like
Hmm.
the way Romero has put together just all these other sports. Like excuse me, we have men's volleyball now.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, the lacrosse coach just got hired. I saw I don't know his name, but he just got hired. I saw on
Yeah,
Twitter and so forth. So
hired a lacrosse coach. Just hired a new cheerleading coach.
yep, they just hired a new cheerleading coach. Yep, I saw that.
It's been
And
busy.
that's also a tribute to Dr. Spees too. Like that's what bothered me so most about ignorant people that post on CoachT.com about saying, "Oh, the only reason that the principal cared about football was because her son was the starting quarterback." Let me tell you something. Dr. Spees was just as invested last year, despite her son and daughter now being in college, and she wants to make sure that all the sports are as successful as football and of course academic, so shout out to Ashley Spees. So
Yeah, definitely shout out to him, man. Like shout out to Speeds, shout out to Carruthers,
Carruthers, yep, all the
shout out
administration, all those
Why,
principals.
why couldn't we have that support when we were in school?
that administration. Phenomenal.
Well, I think like my freshman year, we still had the support.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Sophomore year, it changed.
yeah, no, I think the worst thing that happened to our the way that our careers went and
The
so
old
forth
chickens.
athletically was when Ken Green went to Oak Ridge, and Ken Green was an amazing principal. He gave this guy a
Man,
second.
I remember pep rallies every week
Yep.
my freshman year. And
Led by that guy with a microphone. Who the hell gives a freshman a microphone to lead the pep rallies? I'm pointing to you two, Pear. I mean,
Not,
honestly.
not until my sophomore year.
Was it really? Oh, I swear I thought I saw you with a microphone
I
your
still
freshman
really had like
Not me
one.
microphone. Yeah, there wasn't a time I didn't have a microphone, but I didn't start it. I say I was always announcing games if I didn't have basketball, if football wasn't in,
Yeah, because you did girls soccer. You did. I remember you doing girls soccer at the football field.
I was
So
doing girls soccer because it was girls soccer. I mean, come on, man, like, dude, you know what I'm saying?
hey, you want to know something? I really did adopt that thing. I really did adopt that thing that Letterman did during the '99 World Cup, where he goes, "Soccer moms, soccer mamas," and it's like, well, they weren't moms yet, but
Yeah,
soccer mamas. So
yeah,
yeah, but
yeah. But nah, I like, and then to be honest with you, that World Cup of '99 got brothers liking soccer, and that's what
they
happened.
did. They
It
did, man.
started.
Brandy Chastain and Mia Hamm, all them gals.
Yeah, bro. Like I was following soccer at Bearden. You know what I mean, Shane?
Mm,
Like everybody was like, it was people that played soccer
Yeah.
like at Bearden. So when you get the West and you see it, you're like, dang, man, people actually play soccer like that. That's when I started announcing girls soccer, boys soccer.
yep.
If I wasn't playing any sports, because I was really dedicated. I was dedicated to basketball, but I had so much other stuff going on too. So
And that's what's so disheartening, that with a school like West and so forth, like I had the broadcasting interest, you had the broadcasting interest. Why did we not have that class there? That's why I bring up that story that Jarvis had to go take a bus to go to Fulton because they offered it at Fulton and so forth like that. And it's like he probably had to ask to make that happen, or he knew somebody over at
yeah,
Fulton. Like that wasn't on that little sheet that you got every year when you were picking out your classes and you could pick your electives,
we
because I
were
would have signed up with that.
the closest thing we had to the closest thing we had to that was sports entertainment marketing. That was it.
That was it.
Joni Manning brought sports entertainment marketing to West. That was the closest thing I had to like broadcasting almost.
Hmm.
Because my broadcasting was me going to UT on the weekends with Upward Bound. And I knew I was going to do something in broadcast. I knew I was going to either be on the radio or TV.
Hmm. Oh yeah, yeah.
By
Well,
the great side, I ended up on both, kind of.
yeah, and truth be told, I mean, I knew I was going to do broadcast journalism, so they did offer the newspaper. Shout out to Gene Singley Bailey, my favorite teacher. But honestly, it was like one of those things where that's the only reason I wrote for the newspaper. But it wasn't like me reading, the like they didn't even do the morning announcements when Jenkins came, man. I just cannot believe what she did to West. Honestly, she like neutered us.
That was a horrible. I ain't gonna lie, man. My like high school could have been better if she wasn't print. It's nothing against her. She's a pretty nice lady and all, but to if I were in these kids' shoes, like I didn't understand what politics was until Barbara Jenkins entered. I didn't know. I didn't understand
Facts.
that side of politics.
Yep. Yep.
Me and Amos, me and Amos Colbert, my classmate, we were talking about this. We were like, we didn't understand politics until we got to West. Like that's when we understood politics.
Hmm. I was going to ask Shane this question because remember I wasn't a freshman at West, and I'd like to know your all's true opinion about this. Were you guys offended as freshmen when they did the chant "Go home, freshmen, go
Oh,
home"? I mean, that's like a rite of passage. You
yeah.
know what I mean? And for
The
her to
freshmen had
stop
to
that,
sit. The freshmen had to sit, and they're all white at the top or gray, whatever color we were,
yeah,
at the top of the gym, away from everyone. It's rite of passage. It's high school.
hmm,
Like it was funny. We laughed. We enjoyed it. Come on.
yeah. And she took that away. Like that was one of the first things she took
You
away
can't
in the
hurt
pep
our
rally.
babies. You can't hurt our babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, like go home freshman was a rite of passage. Every class says it.
Yeah.
We're not
I mean, we had to wear all white for homecoming because that's just what it was.
Yeah, there were the designated colors. Yeah.
no freshmen wore gray.
I thought we were white and sophomores were gray. I thought
No,
we
no,
had no color.
Sophomores were white.
Gray.
Oh, we were
Sophomores
gray. Okay.
were white.
Juniors were
Juniors
blue.
were
Seniors were red. Yeah.
Seniors were
Red.
Red. Red.
red.
Yeah.
So juniors always wore navy.
Navy. Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
So this is how cool. This is how cool I thought I was. I was wearing the junior. I had on navy for the seniors my sophomore year for the
Mhm.
pep rally. Like I had my white shirt under and I had my navy fleece over it. Yeah, like
There's a picture in the yearbook of it. I have to find it, but somebody took a picture of you wearing that outfit you're describing with the microphone in your hand
Oh,
for
was
that pep
that
rally.
the Nautica fleece?
then the not you remember the Nautica fleece was undefeated back then, man.
Ah,
The Nautica fleece was undefeated. I need to go get me a Nautica fleece.
hey,
Matter
there
of
ain't
fact,
nothing.
I'm going to look that up online. I'm getting all Nautica fleece for the year. I'm getting a yellow one, a green one, a navy Nautica fleece season.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
remember the outfit vividly.
Hey yo, I threw on some fits in school. I threw on some fits. The Mr. West 2003 picture is iconic.
Yep.
It's an iconic picture.
I just want to thank my high school years for finally developing my body.
Hey, but you know that I don't think people knew that I really could play like both sports though.
Yeah. I've known you for 30 years. I knew what you could do.
Appreciate it. But low key though, I'm like a low key athlete. You wouldn't think it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't think it.
Hey, but I'll say this, man. When Bryce Solomon made you mad, man, you went hard. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
So, that movie was on the other day too, The Goonies, and I just said, "Hey, you guys."
Oh God! That reminded me of a story from football camp senior year.
It's funny. Like me and James' friendship is over us making fun of a guy making fun of me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was like it was so great and so forth, and man, like, it was, and then at that point we didn't even know that like I was a Miami guy, you were a Florida State guy. We didn't even know that yet, but it was like Bryce Solomon. Yeah,
that brought us closer.
It did.
Because it was so bad because Miami, they killed Florida State my whole high school career.
Yeah.
High school.
But middle school, man, 47-0, throwing our quarterback against the goalpost.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys owned us up until then. So, I mean, yeah.
My whole high school career that I did, except for my freshman year, was the only time Florida State won a national title.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, those were some fun times, that BCS back then. Tennessee was good back then, too. Like, you know, like they were all good back then, those three. So, yeah.
Tennessee was so good back then, man.
Oh, and then you had those people that walked around with the Gator jerseys. Like Eric Justice was a huge Florida Gators fan, you know, like a lot of them would wear that, you know, and so.
Dude, that's what was the beauty. There were no Alabama fans.
No, because nobody cared about them. Nobody cared about them.
It was before Dynasty.
You had people wearing Auburn stuff before you had Alabama back
then.
No.
Now, I will say this. Our school's a big Georgia, Ole Miss. I used to see Georgia Tech in the hallways, too. I used to see kids wear Georgia Tech.
I think the Ole Miss thing was just because we were the Rebels.
Like the preppies would wear like the Ole Miss, the Auburns. Duke was heavy in our school.
Duke was heavy. Kentucky was heavy too. I saw some people.
North Carolina was heavy in our school.
North Carolina was heavy too because B-Bell would always have North Carolina.
Michigan was like, I think people just like the Michigan and Georgetown paraphernalia. They didn't really give a shit about the school. I mean, they're against those schools. Those are great schools and whatnot. But I'm saying like when we were in high school, like Michigan was like middle school for me. It was like my squad in middle school.
Did anybody really even wear any NBA apparel? I know a lot of people liked the Lakers back then. I was a Sacramento Kings fan and the Heat, obviously. Yeah, back then I was. But
I wore I'm trying to remember what jerseys I had back then. I had a lot of throwback. I had a lot of jerseys back then.
Yeah. I still think back that's back when everybody wore the NFL jerseys. Like that was everybody had NFL jerseys.
My NFL jersey game was mean. I had a Jake Plummer jersey.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny that you mentioned that because people did wear some Titan stuff because McNair and Eddie George were there back then.
The Titan jersey, but the king of jerseys, Jason Day.
Yeah, he would always have a jersey on, Jason Day. World-renowned chef in Atlanta now, so there you go. So world-renowned chef.
They had Terrell Davis, Marshall Falk. Dude, his jersey collection was mean. He had a mean jersey collection. He had one of the meanest jersey collections in high school.
You know, and honestly, he was such an athletic guy. I mean, he played everywhere, you know, defensive line. He played fullback. He played the holder. He was the placeholder for when Michael Smith would kick the ball. People don't remember that or what he did. So
one of the most athletic, talented dudes people don't remember. Like, Jason Day could actually hoop, too.
Yeah.
People don't he is an athlete, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, West has some hidden gem guys.
Yeah, he was funny too. Like you put him and Tim Thomas in a locker room. Oh my God, rest in peace. But honestly,
man.
like that, those two guys.
What happened to Colin Carmichael?
I know what happened.
Okay.
It's for Rebels
Got it.
after show. So
I
yeah. So yeah.
like,
Yeah.
man,
I
dude.
love that guy though. Like that guy was always good to me. So yeah.
I
I
haven't seen.
always had a crush on my sister, so every time I saw it, I was like, where's Jasmine?
I think last. I, I
Me
think
and, me and Jasmine's older brother was very difficult in high
Oh, I
school.
can only imagine, dude. I have a younger sister,
I
so
want to
yeah.
say the last time I saw Colin Carmichael, it may have been like 2019 when I probably was coming back from Atlanta. Like that's the last time. I can't remember the last time I seen him, to be honest.
I think the last time I saw him was at a football game, and it must have been early 2010s. To be honest with you, it's got to be over 10 years the last time I physically saw him. So yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. Speaking of somebody that was a back in the day guy, I I would love to, we've talked about having guests on and so forth, and we're definitely gonna get that as it grows. And obviously, we've had former players reach out. The thing is people are busy. We understand and so forth. And I'd even love to do a recorded interview, with the three of us and play it. You know what I mean, and so forth. If they even had the time and just put it on the channel, and if people want to watch it, they can watch it. You know what I mean, type of a thing and so forth. So yeah, I
Mm.
mean, yeah. Um, y- you know,
Uh,
Oh, go ahead, Trooper. My bad. Go ahead.
Basketball yesterday, like
Yeah, talk more about that, man, because that just I get goosebumps talking about that. Honestly, I really do. So yeah.
yeah, like I'm really excited on seeing what the lineup of what Dupree, Birch, and Schuler, Clark, Martin, or you can go Kevin Jack, Devin Martin, Malik Wilson, Garrett Birch, Jalen Hill. Like those lineups intrigue me. Then you could go Kalu Fofana, Clark, Wilson, Birch, Martin.
Wow.
Like the lineups can get crazy because you can get Dupree. I feel like Shooter's gonna take that next jump, man.
Hmm.
I feel like he's gotta if he puts in the work, if he puts in the work like the way Garrett is gonna come back in crazy shape.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mike Nelson is gonna be the guy to watch because I don't know if Christopher Cowan came back today. I didn't go to practice today, but I I would really, really want Chris Cowan with this lineup. Just from what we saw last year in spurts, we didn't really get a full dose of what he really could do.
Hmm.
Because
I I almost wonder maybe he had an obligation because doesn't he play AAU ball with Jalen Hill and all those guys? I mean, that's almost like the West AAU team kind of thing or what have
in, is it Tennessee Impact team?
you. It is. Yep.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. I really think I think Sean Smith is going to take that jump too. Like the freshmen are gonna. I feel comfortable with that freshman sophomore class because David Sanders looks like he's gotten taller,
Hmm.
like he's gotten quicker.
And the Prince can grow too. He's still growing. He's only a freshman, so
The,
almost sophomore. So
the Prince runs at offense. Like the Prince plays D. When Kalu Fofana is gonna be the name we're gonna be saying a lot. Like he even said, "I got the best nickname on the team."
hmm
He said, "If I got the best nickname, I'm going to be one of the best players."
another nickname. How did our paper boy do? Was he throwing the paper everywhere? What was he doing yesterday? So
So strange thing, the paper boy was not there.
okay.
There was no paper boy sighting. It kind of worried me too. So yeah, there was no Dane Clark. I didn't ask Garrett Birch about that. Mostly Garrett Birch, we were talking about
His recovery and
his
stuff.
recovery last year, and he's talking about he's gonna want to walk on at UT. Um, I said if he puts in the work this summer and next summer, he'll be on UT.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Anything can happen, man. Honestly, you know what I was gonna. You mentioned something at the beginning of the show that I wanted to ask you about. I think that's awesome that Kevin has really been working on his outside shot because remember we talked about in one of the few episodes in the few weeks ago was how I hated how clumped we were. But if you have shooters on the court and can spread that out, that's hard to guard. And then that opens up your slashers to get to the rim and make an easy layup. I mean, I don't know. Like that's one of those things that realistically I really want to see more from because they've got the athleticism, but you can't drive to the hoop if the lane's clogged with your own guys in the way because they're not going to play defense. So yeah.
one thing I wish they would have worked more on, and that's where I think a skill development coach in for West is I wish they would have worked on more of the ball handling because Coach G does a lot of non-dribble, defensive pad, like, working lanes, boxing out, rotations of that sort. Well, I wish they would have got into more ball handling drills from yesterday. Um, he's going to run those guys to death.
Hmm.
Like he is going, they're going to be the most conditioned team.
Hmm.
They're going to be the most conditioned team. And he even told them, he was like, you can curse me all you want. He said, if your parents get mad, we'll let them get mad. Just this isn't for you.
Hmm.
It's like I understand that because when I was talking to my woman about it, I was like, like he's talking to those parents and he's telling these parents like, I'm raising grown men here, and it may not be your night. It just may not be. You may not get to play. That team can go 15 guys deep.
Yeah.
Like it's a luxury to have, but it's also a curse in some ways because there's not enough time in a high school basketball game to get those guys in.
Unless you're blowing out teams
Unless
like the football team does. So yeah, yeah.
now I don't know what his second rotation is going to look like because with the guards, Reese Clark and Jalen Hill are your two best guards. You got to play them. Devin Martin is your best post player. You got to play him. Kevin Jack is your best post player. You got to play him.
Mhm.
After that, Malik Wilson needs to be the first guy off the bench. Garrett Birch needs to be one of the first guys off the bench. Joe
Mhm.
Dupree has to be off the bench. Schuler has to be off. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
That rotation.
I'm going to say this, that there's two things that come to mind with that. I think about that Kentucky team that went 38-1 that had a two platoon system, pretty much like that. And you might have to do that and so forth. And if you're going to run the whole game, the other teams won't have the depth to keep up. Okay. The other thing, too, is there is entirely too much scoring to only score 8 points in one quarter. There's just too many guys. And if somebody's not hitting, I hope that like you're not afraid to take a guy out because I know that some players need to be coached in a way that maybe you can be hard on them and then some guys need to be coddled. I get that. But I also think and maybe I'm wrong too pair with this and Shane you can chime in on this too. I think Coach Gaporo himself really has something to prove himself with this group because
Yeah,
I feel he's a great coach, but I think that he slighted when you talk about the other coaches in that district and their accolades. And he has not gotten the privy of calls. We talked about this, that and you're not there yet. And I think that this team earned the respect of the officials to get that call that maybe went the other way last year to the
yeah.
Darlings. I'm just saying. I'm just
And
saying that. So.
just talking to some of the referees, I feel like it's a lack of communication and him not knowing some of these guys. Like you can't question call on the merit of type of like what's the word I'm
I know what you're saying. Keep going. Yeah, think.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I want we try to be PG and politically correct, but in the signs of him being a black coach
Mm-hmm.
at said diverse school,
Mm-hmm.
he may feel like he won't get these calls against, say, William Blunt, a fair, a Maryville, and
Or Bearden too. I mean,
like
like honestly, yeah.
in 2020, and it does it, but some of these referees are not living in that mindset. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, these are gonna be the fair games that they can call. Like a lot of these calls are some bad judgment. When it's a call, it's a call.
Mm.
And if it's very recognizable, then you have to make that. So I feel like Gabor deserves some of those calls, but he said time is now with this group. This is it. And
Mm-hmm.
if this group does not get to state, it will not be considered a successful season. Like sub-state or something. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's
You
too
gotta be in Murfreesboro by the end of it.
to lose the way they lose. You know what I'm saying? Like I haven't seen that much talent on the West team for them to be like this. So I feel like they've got something to prove. Like
Shane, you said something, and two pair like what you said with Romero wanting to honor the 2000 team. How about start with that district tournament curse to get rid of? I mean, like I really believe because even the Tukey teams and J1 senior year, they didn't win the district tournament, and you they're like I can understand that Bearden team was pretty awesome. That was Tukey senior year, but damn, like I mean. I still can't believe Maryville came into our gym and beat us for the district tournament on our floor. And then the next week, we beat the crap out of them in the region championship. Like that 2012 team I'm talking about,
yeah,
that
the
is the
team.
only region champion West team. I mean, and it's just like,
How
what
weird is
happened?
that? How
Yeah.
weird is that? We have one district team, one region team,
And one state team.
and one state team.
Yeah.
How about let's be the first to just knock it out the like it's gotta be if they don't do it,
Mm-hmm.
it will be a very I don't even know what to say because it's not on Gaporo.
Would be underachieving.
It's not on Gaporo, it's on the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't I just will say this. The rotation has to be better. That's what we struggled with. We were not getting guys in rhythm to where they could be successful. Joe
Mm-hmm.
Dupree does not need to have 3 shots a game. Joe Dupree needs to average 8 shots a game.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and Shane, here's the other thing too. I mean, you saw at those games the football team came, the whole team came to support you and so forth. And I see the basketball players at the football games, not just as spectators. They're there raising money, selling their shirts and their stuff to raise money, which they got to do.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like you see that culture and so forth. It's like that. It's like do an extra push up, do 10 more shots, and so forth in your driveway, or go to the park and shoot hoops if you don't have a goal in your driveway. It's like put that work in so you can bring a trophy. I mean, they need to be trophy hunters, banner hunters this year. I want a trophy for the district, like you mentioned. I want a trophy for the region. I want the gold ball for state. And last but not least, I'm that greedy. I want the little Thanksgiving trophy or Christmas trophy for the little tournament that whatever they want to participate to add to that one. I want 4 trophies this year. That's what
We
I
want,
want from them.
we want it all right now.
We want it all, man. We want the gold.
I think it's to be the group to do it. I think we need to put in a petition that we need a skills development coach. That's like the next line of what we need it was. Because I love what Gaporo does and I love what Eggleston does on the X, but
Mhm.
we need skill development breaking guys down. Like there is no reason why Devin Martin is not the best player in the district, the county, and the state next year. He should be Mr. Basketball. And
Mm-hmm.
preach.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, is there a rule of how many coaches you can have on the sideline? Because I'll be
Now,
honest with
the
you.
Fulton had like 8.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And honestly, I loved Coach Brooks being added towards the end of the season because I felt he brought a toughness to the team, to the boys or whatever like that that was missing. And so if you add another coach like you're talking about, two pair that can hone in on those skills and development, I mean, then you've got it set. Then you've got what you need. You've got 4 coaches, and that's really what the college does. You have a head coach and 3 assistants normally. You have some grad assistants, but realistically, your 3 assistants and the head guy are your main recruiters and the main people that spend the most time with the kids in a college setting. So why can't you do it at West, honestly?
And one thing I do love about Gaporo is trying to teach these guys. You saw a lot. Ball doesn't touch the ground. Saw a lot of pass. Saw a lot of dribble. Saw a lot of 2 dribble. You saw what he's trying to do. He wants passing, run, flowing system, and he wants ball movement. And that's where it's like guys got to step up their quickness and everything.
And be alert, be heads up. Like I see what you're saying. Like look down the court. There's a guy already running down there and lay it up. Don't even let the team breathe to get set up in their defense. Honestly, he wants to run them off the court, and you've got the roster to do it. Honestly, so you do.
Yeah, he does have the roster to do it. You know what I'm saying? Getting those guys to buy in because this is it for dudes. Like this for this group alone is like, guys, if y'all don't get it together this year, it is slim pickings for a lot of years. Well, I won't say that because this freshman sophomore class is doing a lot better than I expected. But the senior group, it's got to be it, man.
Mm-hmm. They've got to do it because, and you know what, there might be some extra pressure on them too because yes, basketball season starts. Kind of like when the football is in the end of the regular season, playoffs starting, you know what I mean, type of thing. And if West does go for that three-peat, and basketball starts out, 8-9-0 or what have you, which they very well could without even looking at the schedule. I'm just saying that, then keep it going, guys. I mean, maybe that will catapult you guys because truth be told, we noticed, you more especially because you were calling the games, there was a little oomph in December from the team, especially beating Austin East the way they did after that state championship win, winning the Heritage Tournament. The problem was when Dane got hurt and then a couple more injuries happened, like Reese, the snow on top of that hurt a lot of what I think could have been a better season. And it was just a lot of basketball played in 11 days, 13 days, whatever it was. I mean, there was just a lot of basketball.
They were burned. I think you don't have the snow. You don't have these makeup games. We get let's see what a season looks like without makeup games.
Yeah. And realistically, I would be very surprised to see a snow like that happen again. That's like a once every 20 years type of a thing or whatever, or 30 years, honestly. I mean,
we hope.
Yeah.
I
don't do snow.
Yeah, no. Well, and it stunk because, I know that you and me were like, oh, well, we're trying to cover 3 or 4 games in one show or whatever like that, when in reality, you'd only be doing 2, like the one that happened and then the preview, the next one that happened.
I look back at those shows and I'm like, how did we do it? Like, that was man.
Yeah.
To get to where we are now, like, that was to look at those early episodes and wow, that snow really happened and it derailed a lot of basketball and it impacted so many families, so many teams. It just made that season. It felt like you were packing so many games in a week.
Yeah.
That schedule there. After that snow was just It's like there was a game every other day.
The bearding on a Saturday night.
Yep.
Yeah. And there was a lot going on that night.
Like, Bearden had a Friday game and a Saturday game.
Yeah, and West did too. Like we had the Hardin Valley game, and then we had the Bearden game, and then that Saturday night there was a concert in town. WWE was in town. Like there was like so much going on, and realistically, you had to play the games. That was when you could do it, honestly, to make them up because they were district games. This wasn't some Joe Schmo, like you had to do these games.
Seeding was at risk of like, who's going where and playing who, and it was just brutal.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'm looking forward to this team really putting their stamp on it. And like I said, the football team can lead by example and do their thing and put the work in. Basketball, you have all the opportunities in front of you. And I'm going to tell you this. We all know the support's there, win or lose, but when you're winning, oh my God, do they show up? And that gym at West, I mean, it can get loud. It's big, and you can really just make it an atmosphere. Honestly, that helps the team win ultimately. So
yeah, man. That's one thing you got to create there is a winning spirit and atmosphere.
Yeah. The one thing I wanted to bring up to kind of go back to football and just finish that up on the defensive side of the ball. I just cannot get over. I mean, we had some big guys when we played, but West, if you look at them, like they looked the part, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up their butts or anything like that. They don't need that. But what I'm saying is it's like you look the part, play the part, honestly. And when we talked about that offensive line, they were moving people. The defensive line was getting there, and Shane, I also wonder, you only could, I guess, touch the quarterback or whatever like that, and there were a couple of maybe missed tackles or missed touches and so forth. But if you're going hard at a guy, I almost wonder, is our defense going to be better? There is such a thing as being too aggressive, but at the same time, you got to watch where the ball's going, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that you noticed a lot. So
sorry, my son just asked me a question.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine.
I see what you're saying with the line being too aggressive, because I've seen it where you're so dead set on beating your guy that you missed the play goes right by. It happens, but I think the way our D line played the other night was, I'm not too worried about it because they reloaded from last year, and it's spring game. You're going to see a little bit of it here and there, but they had good containment, good pursuit, and good penetration.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is it's like I was really impressed with the tackling too. I mean, yeah, they let a couple of players or balls get behind them and so forth, but realistically, they did make key plays on fourth down to get off the field. And I know Two-Pair, you noticed that as well from a standpoint that realistically, here you think, oh well, Gibbs got a big play, but when West needed to buckle down and do it, they did it. And a lot of these guys played last year, but how many times did you see Ryan Scott or Anderson Smith or CJ bail out, like something? And the thing is it was nice to see these new guys, like a number 45 in Davis Neely, and of course Captain Jack Keith. And me and Shane were really impressed with Person, number 8. Honestly, like he was really doing good with his size on the defensive side of the ball, locking down. And he wasn't even a starter. Number 6 did a good job on that right side as well. Obviously McAllister and Burdine, what they're going to bring, but you saw Abel Ancelot and Mannon do their thing. And so the thing is, a lot of these guys were realistically, just kind of, I don't know. It almost seemed like this was their first action, and they did a lot better than I thought they were going to do, despite a couple of lapses. But when they needed to get off the field, they got off the field.
Yeah, that's what impressed me is like they were able to just get off the field. They can see a lot of long, sustained drives. You did see like a couple of breakdowns where, you know what I'm saying, Gibbs made a play or two, but you just saw like, okay, this is the speed that we have on the offense and defensive side. And it's just about these guys making the right adjustments and coming in the summer a little bit stronger, hit those weights really hard. Um, I want to say they'll have what 7-on-7.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the guys do play 7-on-7, and so forth. And speaking of that, I think that that 7-on-7 has been good and bad for football because you get more work at the skill levels, and the timing with quarterbacks and receivers. But at the same time, I almost get the sense too, Pair, that there's guys, not our guys, but there's guys on a national level that get star rankings based on that. And then when they put the pads on, they don't show up in college, like, I mean, and I feel that that's a thing that's made things soft. And I remember Troy Smith agreed with us when we had him on as a guest that that has really made things different, and so
Yeah,
forth. So, but I like it from a standpoint that it's huge for the timing because if the quarterbacks and receivers get in sync, you look out. And you did see some big plays like that big catch by Corey Person and the catch by number 13, like you mentioned, with and we need to get his name. That was our dude with the glasses, man. That was our guy. So yeah,
James glasses. His
yep,
name is
yep.
Glasses. He
Glasses,
ain't even
man.
got
So,
no name. Glasses.
glasses, and man, he didn't even have to adjust him. He caught the ball and walked into the end zone. I
Walk
mean,
in
yeah,
the zone. That's why I was like, yeah, my man Glasses over here.
yeah, yeah.
I was like, yeah.
I just love the fact that we rotated so many guys. I mean, the fact that we may not have their names, but the numbers that we've listed, I mean, that's huge, man. That is huge and so forth. I mean,
Yeah,
so
man, there was a lot of guys. Like, there was a ton of dudes.
yeah, there really is. There
I
there
didn't
really
like
is.
know we had that many players on the team.
Yeah,
Like,
and you got 48 freshmen signed up from 8th grade coming in, man. And there's a couple of guys that I'm not saying are going to walk in and be starters as a freshman, but they're like Larry Williford good that they're going to get playing time as a freshman that the coaches are excited about if they themselves put the work in because now 8th grade's almost over, they can get in the weight room and start working out at the field house. So, yeah. But yeah. For our audience that's watching, there's like this bad thunderstorm going on, and I think I may have lost Shane. To be honest with you, do you hear it over at your place too, Pair? That lightning, man, it's rough
it
out there.
was
So
pretty
shoot,
bad. It was
yeah,
pretty.
yeah.
The
So
rain coming down, man.
rain is coming down. So yeah, lovely East Tennessee May weather, honestly.
You
So
gotta love.
hey, two pair. Kind of moving from high school. What's your thoughts on the NBA playoffs, man? Like, I'm gonna tell you this. I've never seen a series like Denver and Minnesota where the other team won on the other's home court. I mean, what the hell is
State
going on there?
statements. Those are statements. Because if Denver wins tonight, they getting for the cash. If Minnesota wins tonight, it's for the cash.
Yeah,
Like whoever wins tonight wins the series, in my
yeah,
opinion. Like whoever wins game 5 wins this series in 6 or 7. Like, yeah. Because then it becomes the best of 3 right now.
yeah.
That's what it
And
that's
Denver's got the home court. Or no, who Denver's got the home court, right? So
Denver's got home court. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there you go. I mean, and realistically, up until this Minnesota team, they have been like badasses in Mile High City. I mean, they have owned Mile High City. They've protected their court. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I was just watching these series, and it's just like, how is the Celtics losing to the Cavs at home in Game 2? Now, of course, they got the 2 games in Indiana and so forth, but I was just shocked to see Boston give up a game at home against the Cavs, and so forth. And that Dallas series, I think Dallas left one off the hook last night, man. I thought they had the Thunder going to go up 3-1 back to OKC, and Chet Holmgren said, "No thanks. We're going to tie this up and reclaim home court." And that series has really excited me of all of them. Besides Minnesota, Denver, the Western Conference playoffs have
Oh,
been fire compared
fire,
to the East, man. Yeah,
fire. Cleveland, Boston is like watching paint dry.
yeah.
Uh,
It is, man. And the Pacers and the Knicks doesn't have the heart that the Reggie Miller,
it's been good though.
it's been good. It's been good, but it's not the same,
It hasn't been theatrical.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
it hasn't been theatrical. It's been good,
Yeah.
but it's got a little chippiness to it.
Hmm.
Like tonight was a bunch of chippiness, but it just wasn't. Well, New York's winning 117-90. I don't know if New York wins in Indiana.
So you think this one's going to go 7?
I think
Back to MSG for game 7.
yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Jalen Brunson has one of those 50-point games in MSG, and becomes the talk of New York.
Yeah.
I love it though. I love it. I love the West. The West has just been on fire.
Oh my God, man! I'm going to tell you this.
That
Any of those four
Dallas
teams are worthy.
KC has been awesome. Been awesome.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, I just. Any of those 4 teams are worthy to be NBA champions, to be honest with you.
Oh,
Any of them.
yeah.
Any of them. I mean, the star power on those teams, and they're showing up. Like, those stars are showing up. And I mean, even in a losing effort, for the Ant-Man to score 44 points, I mean, come on, like that. I mean, he was out there. He played 45 minutes, 2 pair. He basically was averaging a point a minute, pretty much. That's awesome. That is amazing, right?
Efficiency.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, goodness gracious.
I love Ant-Man. I love.
He's a stud. He is a stud.
He's just a dude. Like a real just like you gotta have you gotta have that type of dog on your team.
Mm-hmm.
He's a true like I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy. Yeah, I just got a text from Shane, by the way, just had a power outage. I figured. Yeah, because he doesn't live too far from me. And that lightning, man, I literally heard it like right down the street. And he lives in Karn, so I know he was just on the other side of Middlebrook Pike, honestly. So yeah, I mean, my goodness. So
Shane living out there in Corn.
I know, right? So yeah. Let me ask you this too, Pear. I wanted to, I guess, in your opinion, based on where the series are at right now, do you think it will be? Obviously, the game's not tonight, but do you think the Denver series goes 7 with Denver ultimately taking it, or do you think Minnesota wins tonight and then maybe finishes it Thursday in Minnesota?
Ooh. I had Minnesota winning this series.
Stick with it. I'd stick with it.
I feel like Denver is gonna win this series.
I'm gonna tell you this.
I feel like we could be in the year of the back-to-back. It's gonna be somebody from the West.
It is. It is. There's no doubt. No doubt.
I don't believe. Maybe it's me. But Tatum and Brown have to. If Tatum and Brown play flawlessly, they'll win an NBA championship.
Mm-hmm.
They gotta play as if they're the 2 best players on the court for Boston to win the championship. I think they can beat Denver. I think they can beat Denver. They match up well. Porzingis comes to play.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they need Porzingis to be that third guy. It can't just be Tatum and Brown.
It can't be Tatum and Brown.
Yeah.
Gotta be Porzingis. Like he's the missing link for them to win the championship. Like I'm going to paint scenarios for each team to win the championship. New York, they got to get some help. Like Mitchell Robertson got to come back. Julius Randle got to come back, but he ain't coming back.
Mm-mm.
OG and Ananobi's got to come back. They don't have the bodies. You
They
know what I'm
don't.
saying? They
They
ain't
don't.
got the bodies. They don't have bodies.
That's why it would be disappointing if the Celtics at least didn't get to the finals. Like, I mean, they've
Right.
been handed a wheelchair to get to the finals, to be honest with you. So,
Yeah, yeah. You know, they don't have the bodies at all.
yeah.
Um, Cleveland just not good enough. They're just not.
They were lucky to be there, man. They were lucky to be there. I think
Yeah,
Orlando
Or,
really let one slip.
Orlando's gonna be a team to watch. Like
Paolo.
next
Yeah.
year, them dudes they're gonna be the team to watch.
Yeah, they are.
They're gonna be the team to watch. They're
Yeah, they
gonna
are.
be the team to watch. But Minnesota, they gotta win tonight. They win tonight, they can beat they can beat Denver. For
Hmm.
Denver's like they're the opposite. Whoever wins tonight is gonna advance.
I agree with that. Am I wrong by saying this too, Pair? Okay, so you have scenarios where it could be Dallas, it could be OKC, it could be
Yeah,
Minnesota, it could be obviously Denver.
yeah.
But does the Celtics have a prayer against any of the other four? Because let me just tell you this. No disrespect to Tatum and Brown, but if you're just going the two best players on each team, NBA Jam style, okay, I would take Ant-Man and Cat over them.
Yep.
I would take obviously the Joker and Murray over them from Denver. I
Mm.
would take Kyrie and Luca over them from
Oh,
Dallas.
absolutely.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
that's your fifth seed. And then OKC, I mean Alexander and Chet over Tatum and Brown at this point. So I think we got him back. Did you kick the generator in or what? So
Power kicked back on.
oh my God, man, it was rough. Like I was telling Two Pair, I heard that lightning strike Carnes from here, honestly. So shoot, but yeah, but
Yeah, it's coming down out here in Carnes right now.
yeah, yeah. So
So the winner of Game 5 series wins the series 82% of the time.
yeah. So the Knicks are probably gonna finish the Pacers on Game 7, maybe or whatever.
I think Game 7.
Game 7.
I don't see New York is not gonna win in Indianapolis.
Mm-mm.
It ain't happening.
If they had the dudes, if they had Randall and the dudes like you said, probably, but they don't have
Yeah,
them. So that's the thing.
no.
Yeah.
And here's what I don't like. This is what I don't like. I don't like when people say they are playing better without Julius Randle. The further they go into playoffs, they're missing 20 points per game. Like I don't get why people do not look at the game that way. They think they're getting better. No, they're struggling to win without Julius Randle. They're winning, but when they win, it's convincingly. They haven't beat Indiana real world close game, but except the first game.
Yeah.
The first game was super close.
Yeah. I mean, and 20 points is 20 points. I mean, 20 points, my goodness. I mean, consistently, that's nice to have a guarantee, honestly, you
Yeah,
know.
I
That
just don't
takes
like.
the pressure off of another person having to have a 40-point game to make up for that 20 points that you don't have. I mean,
Yeah, I
that's
just don't.
ignorant. It's
I
ignorant.
don't like when people say that about Julius Randle when they say like they're playing better with. No, they're not playing better without him. They're forced to play without him. It's like an all-star, all NBA guy. He is not chopped liver. He is a dude. You need him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's the thing. Here we're talking about the Knicks like that, and they're the 2 seed in the East. You know, I mean, Boston is going to enjoy being Eastern Conference champs. Props to them, but the best team they have a chance to hope to meet is the Mavericks, and that ain't even going to be a walk in the park if the Mavericks get there as the 5th seed.
Not with the way
Honestly.
PJ Washington's came to play.
Yeah, he's and now if he's gonna be that third guy to help Luca and Kyrie, I mean
Yo,
honestly, yeah,
if he's getting me, if PJ Washington can get you consistently 20 to 25, your good money,
Mm-hmm.
your house money, because
Mm-hmm.
he's not a guy that did that until this playoffs, where he's giving you 20 to 25. Like, if he's consistently doing that, PJ Washington will be monumental for that Dallas group. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what I'm saying. Like the Dallas group, what I do love about the OKC group, you notice after every win, they all as a team get interviewed.
They're tight. They're
They're
tight.
tight. That's a tight knit group. Like
Mm-hmm. And that's a tribute
that's
to the
scary.
coach. Yeah, that's a tribute to the coach too. Yeah.
That's scary because if a team is that tight, like they like each other that much, if that group wins a championship, it will be hell for this league.
Mm-hmm.
Because if those dudes like playing with each other that much and they're winning on the road, dude, they gonna be something else.
And
Like,
wouldn't that be such a middle finger to the Durant, Westbrook, Harden team that they could never get it done? Like, wouldn't
no,
that be
yeah,
middle finger right there? I mean, honestly,
and
took them a few years, but they did it.
they had their chances too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and they they get rid of Scott Brooks. They hire Billy Donovan, who KD, no matter what he says, like you he it didn't look like he enjoyed. Maybe it's me. Body language
You're
is a
smart.
lot of.
No, it was. You're right. You're on it. You know it.
Just didn't look like Brooks was his guy.
Yeah. Yep.
Like Scotty Brooks was his guy.
And somebody had to be the fall guy for losing to the Spurs, who were champion. I mean, the Heat and the Spurs were the teams that year, those years, or what have you, like
Yeah,
that. I mean,
it's like you do that, and they're up 3-1 against the Warriors. Lose a 3-1. How did they lose a 3-1 series? That was the year of the 3-1s.
yep, yep.
Yeah,
And they lost it. I mean, yeah. I mean, and I like Dallas's team because they've got the veteran of Kyrie Luca's what in his fifth year now, fourth or fifth year at this
right
point.
around.
Yeah, and then you've got these younger pieces. I mean, you talked about PJ Washington. PJ Washington is like really should like would be a fifth year senior if he had stayed in Kentucky. You know, that's crazy to think about. You
That
know,
is crazy.
and that's what's so unfair with some of these guys that are the one and dones. It's like if they'd stay like the old days, they'd be like those teams would have been killer, and so forth. And now you look at that. I mean, that's why the Kentucky guys like maybe didn't do so much in that one year with Calipari, but you see Alexander, you see Jamal Murray. You see these guys that were once there at Kentucky blowing up in their third, fourth year because that's when they were supposed to be juniors and seniors. And the same thing's probably going to happen with these kids from Kentucky this past year that are going to get drafted,
Well, it's just
honestly.
the NBA is becoming younger and younger, though,
Yeah.
James.
Yeah.
That's why the NBA is becoming it's a young man's sport. It and even with like the draft lottery, like
Mm.
you, this is the one year where the number one pick don't even want the number one pick.
Isn't that something? You know what really bothers me about that too, Pear? Because Atlanta is a fun city. You know what I
Yo,
mean? It could be the new LA. It is the new LA when it comes to movies. I mean, people are filming in Georgia so they don't have to pay the stupid tax in California. I mean, all these Netflix shows are filmed there. Everybody. But my point is it's like how the hell do they not have the coolest basketball team, in a beautiful arena, gorgeous arena.
this is nice.
Facilities are unbelievable there. That new Mercedes-Benz Stadium is fire for the Falcons. I mean, it's just like, I mean, they've had the Braves for years, but it's like been numbing to me. Like it makes me feel like I'm having some aneurysm of why the football team and basketball team can't be as damn good as their baseball team, honestly.
It's a Braves town. It
Yeah.
is it will even though they got love for the Falcons, they got love for the Hawks. it will forever be a Brave town. Like
You're right.
because that's the only thing they know about. Like seeing winning.
It's the only consistency.
Like that's the kid's only consistency. Like
Mhm.
Atlanta was in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2021. They have further become more mediocre each year since that Eastern Conference Finals.
That blows my mind too still, and I remember that because wasn't it Boston that beat them too or whatever like that? Or who was it that beat
Milwaukee,
Toronto?
Milwaukee,
Milwaukee did. That's right. That's right.
Giannis.
Giannis.
Beat
Yeah.
them in 6.
Yeah.
Was it 6? Yeah, they beat them in 6.
Yeah, they beat
I
them in
want to
6.
hold on. You know
Yeah.
what? Pull it. Can you pull that stat up?
Yeah,
Shay?
give me a second.
Matter of fact, hold on. I think I can. Let me see.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just am thinking about it. Who is going to be the number one pick? Because last year it was the Wenbayama sweepstakes or what have you, and this year, I mean, who have they mock drafted? Is it some foreign player? Like,
It's who wants Bronny to get LeBron. That's what it is.
oh God, hey, can we talk about that real quick? So
Yeah,
he measured at the combine like 6'1", even though he's been listed 6'3" on all these rosters.
yeah.
But the vertical was good. I heard he got like a really high
40.5
vertical or
vertical.
something like that. So that might help him right there.
Versus
So
Milwaukee in 6
He shot
in
19.
the Eastern Conference Finals.
he shot 19%.
Shot 19 and 25 from 3.
Oh, well, there you go. So yeah, okay.
But the thing is 19 from 25 is really not good for an NBA player. Like that's good for the average.
Like for college or whatever like that. So yeah.
Like 19 and 25 without nobody guarding you.
I see what you mean because NBA players like have to knock those shots down even with a hand in their face, let alone wide open. You're right. I see what you
Yeah,
mean.
guys are hitting it 23 out of 25, 22 out of 25, not 19 out of 25.
Yeah.
It is compared to NBA guys, like dudes, 19 to 25 ain't it, boss.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's too many talented guards. It like the Kentucky guys that I saw probably shoot pretty good in those combine drills. And I know that the kid from Duke stood out, Jared McCain, he stood out and so forth, shooting threes in that combine. How'd Dalton do? Was he there? He had to have been there, right? How'd he do?
Oh man, Dalton looks great, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
he's gonna be a lottery
I
pick.
mean, if Dalton, I feel like Dalton goes 8. I pray he goes to San Antonio Spurs.
Dude, that's a scary thing if he gets that, if they get him,
Oh
honestly.
my gosh, how
Yeah.
cool would that be to get Dalton Connect playing with Wimbiana for the rest of his like,
Ooh.
dude, just think of that career with
Yeah.
Dalton Connect playing with Wimbiana. You know how many shots he's gonna get
Oh yeah, yeah,
playing with
and he's got a great distributing point guard in Trey Jones, so that like just gets the ball to the guys. I mean, Trey Jones will score when he needs to, but he's distributor. He's always looking down court, getting guys involved, always. So yeah, yeah. I'll just say this: like I was glad to see the Hawks get the number one pick, but then it was kind of like, wow, the Hawks got the number one pick. I wouldn't have guessed that. I don't know who had the most lottery balls. Did they have the worst record? Who
It
did have?
was between
Detroit.
Detroit and somebody else. Can't remember.
Dude, I don't know if they're still paying for that melee in Auburn Hills and the Palace but that team cannot do anything since I mean they stink. They are awful. I mean,
Oh,
they stink.
so the Bucks did beat the Hawks in 2021 4-2.
4-2. Yeah.
4-2.
Wow. I'm just like I said. Here's the thing: is what's his name still wanting to Trey Young? Is he even still wanting to be a part of the Hawks, or what's the deal? Like, I mean,
I hope so. I mean, they need to keep that group together, but you got to put like I feel like they don't even want the number one pick.
Yeah.
But what are you going to trade the number one pick for? Like, who?
Could you get 2 first-round picks for it? Like, is there a team that wants to possibly give up, like, you know?
Here's
But draft.
here's what happens. Atlanta trades the pick
I'm not
to
going to
the
say
Lakers
draft is.
for Braun and Bronny.
Oh,
I just feel like the guy that's going to be the best player out of this draft is going to be Dalton Connect.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at stuff right now, and he's moving up the draft board pretty high. I've seen like top 3 performers on the first day of the combine. He's moved up to the number 7 spot on the big board.
Well, there's your San Antonio, possibly. There it is.
Spurs are the 8th pick.
Yeah, but there's going to be some dumbass team there's going to be some dumbass team that's going to pick the guy that was number 11. Oh, we liked his potential or something like that. And then
we're going into the developmental team for 2 years.
Detroit will pick somebody terrible, and then the rest of the people are going to pick somebody good. So
what if Detroit picked Zach Edey?
Do you know where I'm hearing Edey fall into? Our Heat, 2-pair. I really hear that Edey might go to the Heat at 15, honestly.
I will love him.
Because they would move Bam Adebayo to his natural position of the 4, and then you've got Edey clogging the middle. I mean, I don't know.
Bam would average 26 points if we get Zach Edey.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Edey could be good enough, like Yao Ming, like be contributed like that. I think he's good enough to be that.
With the Chinese prototypes that are built in a lab?
Pretty much. So the Wuhan, no, but sorry. I guess I was. I guess I was just going to ask, like, I mean, but yeah, there's some stupid teams that, I mean, like the Hawks. Like, is DeAndre Hunter still on their team? By the way, is he still on there? Because I feel like they trade all their lottery picks away. Honestly, the Hawks. I mean, like the Hawks, like should have like what the OKC has. Like that. Why have they not drafted and kept their picks? It's like they trade their dudes if they don't do nothing. Like I mean, and that's either your bad selection or you did some misevaluations. Because that's why I was asking: is DeAndre Hunter still on their team? Because they picked him one year in the lottery and so forth, like that. But I feel like other than Trae Young, they've traded everybody else. So.
He's still on there with a $20 million salary.
Yeah, and he's pretty much the whole damn team. I mean, that's it. So, yeah. Who else was in that discussion, Shane? It was Detroit. It was Atlanta. Who else was also up for that number 1 pick with the most lottery balls with terrible records?
Let's see. All right, let's see. First 10 picks: Atlanta, Washington, Houston, San Antonio, Detroit, Charlotte, Portland, San Antonio again, Memphis, then Utah are your top 10 picks.
San Antonio got 2 picks in the first round.
Yeah, 2 picks in the first 10 picks.
They got 2 lottery picks.
That's scary. That's scary.
Antonio gets Dalton Connect and Rob Dillingham.
It's over. And that's what they're going to get. That's what they're going to get. I guarantee it. That's going to be Pop's picks. So, and then meanwhile, you're going to see a jackass team like Washington make a terrible pick. You're going to watch Portland, and let me ask you this, man. You talk about underachieving teams this year. Nobody was more underachieving than the Milwaukee Bucks, man. I was thinking more about that, the Dame Lillard trade and all that. I mean, firing coaches, hiring Doc River. I mean, what is going on here?
They screwed the pooch.
Yeah, and to go further from that 6-game series you were just talking about, you have the Hawks drafting number 1 and Milwaukee, who ultimately won that series. Look at them in shambles right now, honestly. So shambles. So.
I mean, a playoff team that just did not live up to expectations. It's bad. Like you should have kept Adrian Griffin. Like they were 30.
He's a good player. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean,
like Adrian Griffin is a former player, good coach, and then you bring in Doc Rivers. What for? What you got worse.
How many? I mean, and it wasn't even that many games that he was the coach at or whatever. Like what, 27 games or something? I mean, that's not even a quarter of the season. I
They were
mean,
like 19 and 21. With Adrian Griffith, they were 30 and 13.
they're stupid. They are stupid.
They stink.
They stink too. But
They stink.
yeah, and then Washington. I mean, my God, I mean they're terrible too. So
Oh
and
man, stink.
they stink. So.
Stink. They. Oh gosh.
You talk about a team. Are the Nationals even any good this year in baseball? I mean, I think they suck in hockey. They suck in football. I mean, they
Oh
suck.
no, they got it. They've had a championship though.
They have, yeah.
19. They got one. Yeah, they won one in 19.
The Nationals, yeah, because they had
So
Harper.
they're still on their
yeah.
They're still on like the 5-year window ish.
Gotcha. But my God, Washington D.C.'s become a baseball town, Shane. I mean, honestly, like they used to be the Redskins and now they're the Commanders. So I mean, good God,
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah. We're getting close to that 2-hour mark. I kind of wanted to finish up with this one and so forth. And you control me 2-pair. You control me 2-pair and so forth. So was that report real about this French pay-per-view of Backlash was the lowest buys or what have you in a while? I mean, everybody's saying it was a mistake with Cody Rhodes as your champion. I mean, is it too early still? What's going on here?
You're only doing it. So I put up a post about Cody Rhodes being the champion, and they're already wanting Roman Reigns to come back. Like, it's only 4 days after WrestleMania. It was a pretty bad week in wrestling, and it's compounded. And it's compounded like it's not been a good month since WrestleMania.
No,
it feels very like
it's boring. It's boring. Like, I mean, what has to happen is you have that explosive Royal Rumble WrestleMania little 3 months, and they've got to have something for April and May and June. And I don't know, man. I just see it, and it's just like I think the Rhea Ripley thing is blown up in their face. But I'm going to be honest with you guys about something. I laughed my head off at the Damian Priest Drew McIntyre thing on Raw last night or what have you. Go back and watch it. And I just feel that right now Raw is the superior show to SmackDown, and Fox is paying a bunch of money, and you're on there's nothing going on sports wise that Fox will preempt you. There's not college football. There's not going to be basketball or anything like that. It's like you're the only thing on a Friday night sports wise right now, and your product is unwatchable. It's unwatchable.
I watched NXT tonight.
Yeah, that's even more exciting, dude. Honestly,
I like what Sean has done with NXT.
He's doing great, man. Sean has
built NXT up. Like NXT, I watch NXT more than I watch SmackDown because you had to kind of take the championship belt off of Rome, just story, just for that chapter. Make that chapter so believable.
I just think that there's just not any challengers on the SmackDown roster. I mean, now they're talking about Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes going at it. So you've got your Intercontinental Champion versus your,
Station.
I just think the Raw roster is way much stronger. I know you have 3 hours to fill, but realistically, I've kind of wondered if Raw would ever go back to 2 hours, and then maybe you can mix the rosters a little bit better that way and so forth like that. Because I just think there's way too much main event power on Raw right now, especially when CM Punk comes back. So yeah, I mean,
Raw's got way more. Raw's got way more main event power than SmackDown. SmackDown is starting to feel like AEW.
It is. SmackDown's becoming like how SmackDown was the redheaded stepchild to Raw all those years ago, if you remember, and
Yeah,
so forth like that. That's what it's feeling like. So yeah,
big,
like I'm talking 2005 SmackDown where it was only Batista against Mark Henry or somebody like that.
but there
Raw
was
had all the other guys.
time when SmackDown was bigger than Raw.
Yeah, and that was
Yeah.
when Paul Heyman was writing everything. I mean, you had Kurt Angle, you had Big Show, you had Undertaker, you had Brock Lesnar. I mean, you had some studs on that SmackDown roster. John Cena, yeah, The Rock was on there as well. So before he went to Hollywood, I mean, SmackDown was the superior show to Raw back then.
Yeah. That's why I always remember like SmackDown was a superior show.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess just that nobody really wanted to deal with Triple H's crap back then because he was the main event guy on Monday Night Raw. So, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, they were feeding him poor Booker T and Kane, and that's who he was fighting over there. And then Scott Steiner for a minute, Bill Goldberg for a minute. I mean, Chris Jericho, like that's who he was fighting over there, and then you had Benoit and Eddie and all those guys on SmackDown. I mean, so back then, so yeah, Edge, so
And
yeah, but. Well, guys, I mean, it's been a great show. I mean, we've talked about the spring football game, the basketball tryouts, and how good they're going to look. We talked a little NBA and some wrestling and so forth. What else you guys got as we wrap this one up, man? Another great show.
this Minnesota Denver game, man, is getting pretty good. 24-21 right now. So it's looking like what we said. Whoever wins this game definitely
Got a leg up.
got a leg up 82% of the time. I think we're good though. I think we've covered all of that. Yeah, anything you
Yeah.
want to say?
What?
Oh, well, anything you want to finish up with, Shane? So.
I got nothing tonight.
Cool, man. We had a great show.
We did, man. We always have a great show, great time together. And, we end every show. Two Pair always leads us up, but we always got to throw up that W because it's always about the W. And the Rebels with a cause, we run this thing, baby, in 5A and all the sports. So simple as that. Close us out, Two Pair. Close us out, brother.
Hey, man, you know what it is? Rebels with a cause. Love, peace, chicken grease, and they don't step on them shoes if you know these rules. We out of here.